Well, good morning to anybody who may be listening, and I hope you're having an enjoyable day. If it's daytime, it might be nighttime. I'm having a quiet Sunday. I have work to do, but I've got my Indian friend coming over for steak. He's gone carnivore also, but he overestimates the amount of beer you're allowed to have, as I overestimate the amount of whiskey that's permitted. The answer in both cases is none, of course. I've been getting quite a confused state of mind concerning my biblical um, knowledge. Not really understanding. I mean, the points are true, but I get the names and I've got the names and generations mixed up, and I had Ishmael confused with Esau, leading to all sorts of head scratches, and I couldn't work it out. And I've checked it. I haven't actually opened the Bible at those specific points, but I will do in the fullness of time. But I just needed to get my bearings. And so it occurs to me that, or it is the fact that Jacob and Ishmael are brothers, and they are the children of Isaac and Rebekah. And I think it's fair to say that Isaac had a closer relationship with his father. He was more of a kindred spirit, and his father doted on him, and also he was the eldest, I think. So a trick was organized, and it wasn't really Jacob's intention to organize the trick. It was his mother's. So probably because of his brother's sort of connection with his father, Jacob, I would think, I don't think the Bible says it, but I think it would be quite reasonable to assume that he had a closer connection to his mother. And really, it wasn't her place to make to devise this scheme. I mean, she should have taken any concerns that she may have had to her husband, but she acted independently. And Jacob presumably was sufficiently pliable to do as she asked. And it was quite a bit of deception that he had to do. And I wonder if his weakness, you could call it, I mean, this is reading between the lines, but his weakness in respect of his mother wasn't also evident in his weakness in respect of Rachel. I think Jacob must have fallen very badly in love with Rachel. I'm sure she would have been more than spectacularly beautiful. And she would have had those eyes that women's eyes are dangerous for men, and for some men in particular, particularly men who've been raised by their mother. And I speak from experience here, because that was my condition. I didn't really have a close relationship with my father. There was none available. And I formed my close relationship with my mother. And it made me susceptible, I think, to the charm of women, really, overly susceptible throughout my life. I yearned for it, really, because when somebody who's been raised by their mother looks into a woman's eyes, I suppose he sees himself in a certain manner of speaking. That could be it. But it's dangerous. This is the thing. And, Women's eyes can be dangerous for men, and women can use their eyes, can't they? It's interesting that Leo is described as having, um, is the word weak eyes or something like that. She didn't seem maybe exert that kind of um, Jezebel effect with her eyes. Women can do that. They can do it deliberately, but men can fall into it because they're susceptible also. So, we can't be blaming women for it, although I'm sure they have their share of responsibility for the way that they conduct themselves. But their eyes, they're born with them. It's not their fault that they have, that they can exert this fascination, this charm. And I think that, Jacob's submission to Rachel could probably be seen in his willingness to go along with her um, wishes in respect of Hagar, and really to send her off into the wilderness to die. Um, I don't think Jacob was, I think you could certainly criticize his um, willingness to accede to Rachel's demand there, because it seems really quite unfair. I mean, it was Rachel in the first place who had suggested that he have a child with this woman. Um, that was, I would say, that was wrong. That was logically a wrong move on Jacob's part. Although, all is guided by the hand of God. All of these things, of course, they're guided by the hand of God. And so Ishmael was born, and Ishmael would be represented today by the Arab nations. The Arab nations. And you could say that there is a foundation to a resentment and to an old feud between the two lines of the family, really, because, of course, Jacob is the father of the white nations. There is an historical and biblical chasm or injustice, perhaps, between our people. You could say that. But we also have to remember, I suppose, that these things will be resolved by the hand of God in some manner or another. I don't know how, but that's been my experience now, because I live among really all different races. I was thinking about it earlier, and my two friends, one is a black man, one is an Indian man, and my other friend, although he's very difficult to be friendly with, is a Chinese man. I don't currently have any sort of close friends among my own race. I am friendly with a few people. In fact, there's one gentleman who listens to this channel who, I could count as a friend, I think. But I don't see him very regularly. And I haven't really established any friendships with the descendants of Ishmael, although I'm surrounded by them. And I've had good conversations with individuals in my walks, but I haven't actually got a friend among those people that I could mention. I don't think. They're quite difficult to be friends with somehow. Perhaps they're insular. And also my Chinese friend I find very difficult to be friends with because he's quite insular. He doesn't participate much in English society, and his English is very hard to understand. I gladly, because he doesn't seem to know anybody here, we could spend some time together and go, he hasn't got a car or anything. I'd be happy to hang out sometime, but I can't. He's very, very inscrutable, and I don't think, perhaps he views me with suspicion because of my strange ideas and my willingness to speak on all sorts of matters. So that that's my understanding, and I also understood for the first time that Indian people are descended from Cush, according to Bible scholars, and I think perhaps you could say according to the Bible itself, indeed, descended from Cush. So those would be the races sorted out. Now you'd have to go further with that, wouldn't you? Because you'd have to establish the satanic race, the children of the serpent, who they are precisely, and that's a hazardous path to tread. We can have our suspicions, shall we say, and some of them are biblically supported. Is it a mark of ignominy? Well, I suppose among our people it would be, but among their people it's a mark of distinction to be a member of the race of the serpent. Would it mean to have, as in your descent, in your ancestors, to have fallen angels, to have angels within your ancestry, perhaps? So that's a race that needs to be sorted out. And also there's the matter of the pre-Adamite races, or the pre-Adamite race. And a literal reading of Genesis, I believe, does identify a pre-Adamite race. And that's one of the things that annoys me slightly also when I'm following these carnivore or diet forums, and they often say that we evolved from being hunter-gatherers, and then we evolved in this way or in that way, and we were running around all the time and chasing animals and gathering berries. But we were never doing that, and the Bible makes it clear that the Lord had no man to till the earth, and that's when Adam was created. We are the tillers. We are to tend the vineyard. And we've neglected our duties, of course, in that. And we must resume. It's what we're made to do. That's what we have to do. We were never running around chasing animals, all you carnivore people. I'm sorry to tell you. We're not descended from hunter-gatherers. And if anything, I would say that the hunter-gatherers, that would be the pre-Adamite race. The hunter-gatherer. That would be biblical, wouldn't it? God bless this morning.